I was waiting.
Yeah, man.
I was waiting for her to smell the cape because, like, she's holding it, and I'm like, okay. Welcome to the relaunch, reboot of Kapowcast, the Snyder Cut of Kapowcast.
Retcon, it's retconned.
Everything's retcon. Nothing matters before this point right now.
I am Mike, and joining me is Jody Vance.
Hi.
And filling in for Jeff is John, the Podfather Brewski.
Hey, what's going on? I was going to say playing the role of Jeff Jefferson. It's like season 2 of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or whatnot. I'm a different Aunt Vivian. Hey, don't worry about it. Hey, it's Jeff. That's Jeff Jefferson here.
Nobody can replace Jeff Jefferson.
No.
I hope you're all surviving COVID. We're not. But we finally decided to hell with it and get on Zoom and do this, especially with the Snyder Cut of Justice League, which has been like the hottest, I would say the hottest topic in comic book pop culture, I think, for the past few months.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Here's how crazy it's been is when I realized that the first Justice League came out in 2017, because it's been such at the forefront of my mind because of everybody like released the Snyder Cut, I was like, how was it that long ago?
Yeah, it's crazy how long somebody brought it up that it was 2017 the other day, and I was like, what? It was that long ago that movie was released?
I have some trepidations and whatnot about it, and before we get started, because I want to make sure that people try to understand that I'm not a Zack Snyder hater. I'm not a DC hater. So I have Superman here. Just whenever I'm talking bad or saying something negative, just remember that I own this. So I do like Snyder, or I have liked some of his stuff. But just keep that in mind.
You should just stay there the whole episode.
Yeah, right. Anytime someone just disagrees, you just focus in on Superman.
So it's a 4-hour long movie and 3.4 ratio. I cannot stress that enough. 3.4.
Yeah, right.
Nobody's owned a 3.4 ratio TV in 20 years.
What's weird is that I don't think most people would complain if you're watching it in a theater, because you really wouldn't be able to tell much. But when you have the 16:9 formatted widescreen TV that you're watching it on, you're just like, can someone like close the curtains in, like, so that I can tell this?
It's not like it's cutting off like a little bit of screen.
No.
Like,
it's a pretty good amount.
It's a pretty big amount, and I was, it was very noticeable at first. I did get used to it about, an hour and a half, 2 hours in. You obviously aren't going to notice anymore. But I'm curious to ask both of you guys, did either one of you guys watch it in one sitting, or was it like, did you do chapters? Did you do separate?
Oh, man. A little bit of both, I guess. I pretty much watched the first 3 hours of it, but then real life, the only reason why I paused was because of real life. It wasn't like, oh, man, I need to take a break from this. I just was like, okay, well, gotta pause and take care of some family stuff and get back into it. But it really did, that ratio reminded me of when everyone started getting the different TVs. Mm-hmm. And so some channels would still be in that 4:3 ratio, and some of them, like the HD channels, would fill out. So it would be so awkward watching stuff. You'd usually have like those sidebars up, and it'd be whatever advertisement for the television channel. I was just waiting for HBO to do the same thing, like put HBO on the sides
ads right there.
Like when WWE, like they show their old stuff, they'll have like the WWE things on the side.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. See, I have a bad relationship with that aspect ratio because of old TVs. Because when Ghostbusters would be on when I was a kid, the scene where they walk into the Sedgwick, Egon gets cut off in the scene when you're watching it on TV back in the day.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I noticed that when I was like literally 6 or 7, and since then I hated box TVs, and I said this has to change, and finally it changed in my like early adulthood. But as for watching it all in one sitting, I watched it Thursday because I knew Falcon and Winter Soldier was happening Friday. So I watched on Thursday, and I think I got like an hour knocked out at one point, and then another hour, and then the final 2 hours I watched in one sitting. So it was broken up during the day, but the last 2 hours I watched in the entirety of it.
I watched it in one sitting.
This guy was worried about not having the time to watch it. He's the only one that watched it in one sitting.
It's funny because for some reason I thought it was coming out on a Friday. I think and then I realized I was like, oh, it's a Thursday.
Yeah.
And Steph had work. And then I woke up. I started doing the math. I'm like, wait a minute. I got to be to work at 1:30. I'll be able to do this.
You got his abacus out.
I popped it on, and I was just like, all right, let's do this. But before we, John, you said you don't really remember the original.
Yeah, man. I was talking with Ruth about it, and I'm like, did we see this in the theater together? Because I did watch it. I did watch Justice League, but I didn't remember too much of it, to be completely honest. So even watching 4 hours of this, like some of the stuff I was like, was that in the original or is that brand new? I don't even know. I was totally kind of lost with it. It was like, hey, one of the good things of getting older, I guess, is forgetting about how atrocious the first one was. So I can watch this 4 hour long version.
Tony, I don't remember. Did you? I'm sure me, you, Jeff, we did an episode on it. Did you like the first, I guess they call it, the term for it now is the Justice League?
Yeah, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, by the way. We did do a review, but I don't remember if I was there for it or not.
Probably should have listened to it before we did this.
Maybe. I can't remember my original thoughts. I remember not liking it all that much, but I don't know if I did that whole like guilt trip thing, like, oh, it wasn't so bad. There were moments. So
I'm glad you brought that up.
Well,
I'll explain later, but I'm glad you brought that up.
So like I watched it not too long ago, probably about a month or so ago. I watched the original theatrical cut of Justice League, and I was like, man, this movie is not good. Like, it's just in general just not good as a movie. Not superheroes, not nothing like that. No source material talking. Like, as a movie, it is just terrible. It's terribly paced, terribly cut, terribly color graded. Like, it just doesn't fit with everything that came before it. I mean, obviously, everything that came before it was pretty much like Zack Snyder. But besides that, like, I feel like continuing a movie, you should kind of like match it and make it feel a little bit like it's part of the same universe, because like that's like, for me, that's like half the feeling. If it doesn't match picture wise with the rest of the universe, I personally feel there's a separation of the story. Like, this might not be fully part of this universe over here. Because if you I'm going to do this a lot. If you look at Marvel, all of their movies have very, very similar color grading. So it all feels like one flushed out universe while still being its own separate movies.
I can see that. I can see what you're saying with that. But so yeah, this movie, it had a huge like online following. I was one of those people that was like, it's never going to happen. They're never going to do this.
Yeah.
And then
I think a good amount of us were like,
yeah,
I didn't think it would happen.
HBO Max was like, well, we need subscriptions.
Yeah.
Why not? And luckily for me, I have HBO Max comes with my internet provider, so that's cool.
Yeah.
The Fresh Prince got me hooked on HBO Max, so
Oh,
I
nice.
seen they had the whole series, and I was like, oh, you got me.
Well, and not to mention, they've taken the DC Universe app and have rolled everything but the comics into HBO Max.
I'm so
they were just
that.
like, this isn't working. Roll it all into HBO Max. It's a match made in heaven, I guess. I don't know. I think you're going to be seeing that a lot more now, by the way.
Yeah.
With more niche streaming services getting rolled into larger ones. We've already seen it with DC. We saw it with WWE and Peacock.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I think you're going to see a lot more of that of streaming services combining efforts and there's too many streaming platforms. I could go all day about that. Yeah. But so I'm not sure how do you talk about a 4-hour movie?
I know, right? Yeah, it definitely, I think that right there, when someone said it was 4 hours, I thought that they were exaggerating. And then I found out it was legitimately 4 hours, like 4 hours and 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh my God, that's a 4-hour movie. And especially with the Wonder Woman 1984 with that bomb that happened. I haven't seen that. I was a little skeptical about HBO. I was like, oh geez, are they going to bomb with this one too? And I'm not crapping on Wonder Woman 1984, but like I was expecting a little bit more with that. With this one, I had no expectations. I was like, it's either going to be just as dog shit as the first one. And I don't even remember, like I was telling you guys off air, I don't remember pretty much anything from the first one. And I only have a few vivid memories of it. And I'm afraid too, like you're going to find me somewhere in the past saying, oh yeah, it wasn't bad. I don't remember. I think I liked I got to watch the Batman v Superman, director's cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I saw that one and I never saw what it was in the theater. So when I saw that one, I was like, yeah, well, why is everyone complaining? I thought it was okay. Maybe I said the same thing about Justice League, but I don't think I did.
I know that like I've watched the original cut a few times since it came out, like on Blu-ray, and I may have said this when we reviewed it. I think if that as a movie had come out maybe like 5 or 10 years prior, it would be astounding. But in comparison, and I know people say, you shouldn't compare to Marvel, blah, blah, blah. You're going to do it. Marvel has perfected it. They have...
Yeah, right.
Even Zack Snyder has said they have perfected the formula. But comparing it to the stuff that we have, like Winter Soldier, all that other stuff, like it doesn't hold a candle like the original cuts, especially. And after I got done watching it, I was like, how is it? It felt the exact same, yet totally different, all at the same time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I have spent days thinking about this, and I'm like, did I like it? Or didn't I? And I think what the problem is there's a deep root of me that doesn't want to like it. Because, not anything against DC or Zack Snyder, the fucking fans, the Snyder bot fans, they're so goddamn ravenous, and you cannot say a bad thing about this. Like, I have seen so much online, like within the past 3 days, like if anybody has so much as like a negative thing to say about it, you just don't get DC. You just don't like Zack Snyder. Like, no, like, maybe they just thought it was kind of a shit movie and it doesn't matter what cut it is. Like, I don't know if just, like, kind of like, Rick and Morty. Like, Rick and Morty, like, I love that show, but a lot of the fan base is just the cringiest bottom feeders of the internet. And it's kind of the same thing with a lot of the Zack Snyder loyalists. I want to say
that's a good word. Yeah,
which I didn't even know that there was that many of them, because it's usually every time I'm talking about a Zack Snyder film, And everyone's like, oh, Zack Snyder.
And that's what blows my mind is Batman v Superman. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tony. I could be. But were there not petitions to remove Zack Snyder from Justice League after?
I want to say, yeah, there was. Like, there was a lot of people outspoken about how Batman v Superman was just like total hot garbage, and Zack Snyder needed to be removed off of the whole DC thing. Yeah.
Well, what was the original reason of why he got removed anyway to begin with?
Well, he left Justice League because his daughter passed away.
Oh, that's right. That's
originally what had happened. And here's another thing about the Snyder loyalists, the crazed people, is they are so fucking dead set on like dragging Joss Whedon like through the dirt and like just like the guy's career is probably over. Let's be honest. Like the stuff that's come out
for
about
other reasons, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I was gonna say the stuff that's come out like from the Buffy set, like you know, and this isn't me saying, "Oh, leave the poor guy alone." This is me saying you're beating a dead horse. Like you're not proving anything at this point. Like the dude's career is probably over. Move on. You got your Snyder cut. Move on.
I will interject here and say that I completely understand why Ray Fisher had huge beef with him after seeing this.
Yeah.
Because like his spot in the original cut was like minimized to nothing. And I was like, wow, like you literally cut this dude completely out of the movie. Like I don't know if it was Whedon or if it was, you know, Warner Brothers or whoever calls those shots. I'm assuming the director would call the shots because most of the time the director watches the final, you know, watches them doing the edit and directs that as well.
There are things that I felt this cut did better and that I did like. And there's other things not so good. Like
I want to know the not so good things first.
Of course, everybody wants to know the not so good things first.
Yeah, actually, you're supposed to lead with positive stuff usually, but not me.
Not
Give me the negative right away.
A complimentary sandwich.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Positive, negative, positive.
Please finish this sentence for me. J.J. Abrams is to lens flare as Zack Snyder is to
cookies.
Slow-mo.
Yeah, I knew where you're going with it.
Slow-mo. Nice.
The amount of slow-mo in this movie, that's why it was 4 hours long. Half the movie's in slow-mo. Like, I get it. Like, it's a really cool technique. People like it. And in parts, it is necessary. Like, especially with Flash. But, like, that one scene with Aquaman walking out to the pier.
With the weird music.
I was like, what the fuck is this? Or when they had the Icelandic women singing the song after he swam away and it just had on that for like 2-3 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, that's not needed. Like, Joss Whedon, Zack Snyder, it doesn't matter. Take that out.
Yeah. That part was really awkward through that whole thing. I was just kind of like, and I did that awkward laugh that most people do in a situation where you're just like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm waiting for it to transition to the next scene. It just keeps going. I'm like, is this real life right now? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
It just kept going and going. I'm like, and then there's one scene too that I thought was really weird where Lois Lane's in her apartment and she opens up the case and it has this cape and she's just holding it, and that's literally the entire scene.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I get I get what they're trying to show there, but not real. Like, did she sniff it or did I imagine that? Did she smell it? Did she smell the cape?
No, you're talking about the Icelandic girl who picked up Aquaman's sweater and then smelled it.
Smells that, yeah.
That's right.
Because I was like,
I was waiting.
Yeah, man.
I was waiting for her to smell the cape because, like, she's holding it, and I'm like, okay. But, like, I just didn't think that was necessary. Like, I think they conveyed pretty early on in the movie that, yes, she misses him.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I did like, because I watched the Justice League
Please stop.
I know I'm gonna keep doing it. The other day, and I do like the opening credits of that movie. I did like that they took, you know, instead of having like a whole scene dedicated to Ma Kent leaving the farm, it's just like in the credits, like just.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
To set the tone, and it's the same thing with Lois. Like it's just to set the tone. Like these random cutaways. You said oddly paced for the original cut. A lot of that stuff makes it feel very oddly paced. And like the first 2 hours, 2.5 is like all the build up to everything, and it is so slow. Like it is legit. Like it feels like 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that first bit. Like it feels like it's just drolling on and on.
There was a lot of setup. I'll agree with you there, but the way I looked at it was there was a lot of setup there, but there was no setup before this movie for 3 of the characters.
Somewhere there has to be like a happy medium.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree completely.
Like this is the 3 little bears. This one's too cold. This one's too hot. Somewhere there's something that's just right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree completely. Like I keep telling people, I go, you know, I would say in a gist that we could have totally avoided a 4-hour Justice League movie if we would have just had each individual movie to set up the character. That way we didn't have to do it in Justice League because most common people don't know who Cyborg is. Mm-hmm. Most common people don't know who Aquaman is. The Flash, maybe we can probably get away with that one. But you have to set up all these characters before the team up movie even start. And that all kind of got lost. And I think we said it before, like that's needed. How are you supposed to feel for your heroes if you don't even know who the hell they are?
Right. And that's part of the reason why, like, once again, I hate to do the Marvel comparison again, but like when in the first Avengers, when they have the famous, wraparound shot of all of them, that's why that feels earned. Like, I would say things feel more earned in this cut than it did in the original, but it still doesn't feel like, I don't know. It still is missing something. Let's talk. What do you? I mean, I guess. Yeah. Negatives from you guys, if you have any.
You hit the 2 big ones for me already.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. My other negative I would probably have to say is the opening shot with Superman screaming and the echo that travels across the galaxy and like affects everybody. I was like, wow, like that's maybe it's my hate of Superman and saying, you know what? I don't think this character is really, so godlike to the point where like the whole galaxy feels his death upon, it happening. But I don't know. I was just kind of like, this is cheesy.
I feel like that was trying to drive out the thing of like the mother boxes activated because he was no longer there. He died, but at the same time, it raises the question, well, what the hell were they doing for the up to, hundreds of years he wasn't there?
Yeah.
Minor gripe, but...
Yeah.
To add a little bit of positive inside of our negative, I did like how Aquaman wasn't super brotastic this time, and he was more of a hard ass and more of almost like a fighter, not so much a surfer type of kind of a guy where he's all laid back. He's more like one of my favorite parts was the Flash when they confront Superman after he returns and the Flash accidentally like gets thrown into him and they're sitting on the stairs and he turns to the Flash and like just gives him the point of doom and the Flash is like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like it actually made Jason Momoa look like he's playing a character and not playing Jason Momoa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm in kind of the same boat as you guys. I mean, besides the fact that it was a 4-hour long movie, to me, I asked myself, what's the replay value to myself on something like that? It's hard nowadays for me to watch a 2-hour movie. And you guys already know this. I watch this stuff at twice the speed, sometimes a little bit more.
I always forget that, but
so yeah, I did not give this movie 4 hours of my life. I'll just put it that way.
Our resident Barry Allen right here.
So those slow-mo speeds to you might not have seemed
that would
so
actually
slow.
I might have to do that just to see those slow-mo sequences.
Well, I think when you adjust yourself to watching everything in fast motion, to me, it still like plays out. The only time where I found I would be in a disagreement with someone was when someone would be like, man, the pacing was so off. It was too long. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I realized I'm like, that makes perfect sense because if you speed it up, it's perfect. Yeah. So, that's the 4 hour. Netflix did this with Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight, where you could actually watch the movie itself, but then like the director's cut too, but it was broken up in episodes. So like it was maybe 4 or 5 episodes and each one was about an hour long. And I really liked how Netflix did that. And I felt like HBO could have done this in the same vein because I saw, they have the chapters and even on the scroll bar, you'd see like the pinpoints for each one of the chapters too.
Yeah.
I think if they wanted to, they should do that. I don't think that hurts the movie one bit. It's just one of those things. Now we're in 2021 and you got to recognize that majority of people have stuff to do. They can't just sit there for a 4-hour movie.
Well, here's an interesting thing to think about. And I mean, John, you live a much busier life than we do. You have a lot more going on. But, and Tony, I'm sure you've done this, but why is it so easy for us as people to sit and binge like a TV show? Like I can I can sit and watch like 6 hours of The Office, no problem. But like someone's like, hey, you gotta sit down and watch this 4-hour cut of Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm like, fuck. 4 hours.
I don't know if I'm speaking for myself here, but when I do end up binging a whole episode, a whole series of things, after I'm done, I just feel like a giant piece of crap. Like,
yeah, man. Yeah.
Like I enjoyed the show, but I'm like, I didn't do anything today besides lay on the couch and watch this.
Yeah.
Like I was so excited for Cobra Kai that I watched the whole thing on New Year's Day, and then I realized that I wasted the whole day.
That's New Year's Day. You can waste that whole day. It's fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that one's
that
one's on us.
Yeah, okay.
Don't worry about
it's a holiday. It's forgivable. But no, it's a good point. Like, why is it that we can sit there and do that, but when you say, hey, this is 4 hours long, which is like half of what watching a series would be, do we go, oh my god, it's gonna be so long? All right, go back, even like say, hey, we should watch Infinity War and then Endgame back to back. Like, even though like
I've done it.
Probably like my top favorite movies, I go, that's a feat. That's a long time. I don't know if I have that in me to sit that long.
What would you say if I told you I've done that at least twice within the past like 4 or 5 months?
I would say that you need maybe another hobby a little bit more hands-on. And
if you didn't do that during COVID, maybe I'd be in agreement with Tony. I'd be like,
yeah. The last year is pretty much ixnayed on any of that, because there was the 2 weeks we were actually on lockdown. I wasted so much time watching TV or
catching up on that stuff. Yeah,
to the point where I ran out of stuff to watch. I was like, oh, I have nothing else to watch.
I'm glad you brought up like Infinity War and Endgame, because those are two chunky movies right there. Those are very long. Like Endgame's like 3 hours some minutes.
I was about to say you've done 2 of them, so you said you watched both of them. So what's the entirety length?
It's probably like 5-6 hours, something like that.
Probably a little over 5, I think.
And here's the thing: is like I'll say like Infinity War, like it's a long movie. It does not feel like a long movie.
No, because
the pacing and everything in that movie is perfect.
Yep.
It is perfect. Endgame, it gets a little in the middle.
Yeah.
But like the setup to everything, and then of course the end battle, everything, like it more than makes up for it. This cut, like I said, the first hour and a half is just setup, 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 setup. You have a couple action scenes. I was a little disappointed. I was hoping that this was maybe a Joss Whedon move. Why do the Amazon warriors have like midriffs? Like that makes no like. Why is their stomach exposed? Like that makes
I didn't even catch that.
A lot of them in the temple where the mother box is, they have they have midriffs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? That makes no sense.
No, not at all.
In a battle-oriented situation, no, you do not want a midriff because that's where all of your internal organs are.
Yeah.
And you'll freaking die if you get stabbed there.
Did you guys think Steppenwolf was a... well, I guess, John, you probably don't remember much, but how do you feel about Steppenwolf as a villain this time around? From what
I remember, and man, I'm kind of kicking myself because I did want to rewatch Justice League before we did this. I vaguely recall that I liked him more in this than I did in the other one.
Even though he looks like a Transformer?
Yeah, but something in the other one made me think like... I feel like I like the CG in this one better than I did the other one.
Yeah.
I think I liked it. I can tell you this. I mean, overall, just as a positive, it was weird because I felt he was a little more difficult in the first one to fight against. And in this one, they were just kicking his ass. And it was just like, oh, okay, he's definitely not Darkseid, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think you definitely sensed his motives more in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as a character, he definitely got fleshed out a lot more. Like, the whole interaction with Darkseid where he's explaining, like, he's been banished from Apocalypse and... Mm-hmm. He has to conquer this many worlds before he can return, and like you can actually like even though the CGI wasn't the best in this, you can see like the desperation in his eyes of how much he wants to fulfill and be back.
Yeah,
I thought it made him feel more complete as a character, and that's the same thing with Cyborg and Flash. Is I think they felt more complete as characters.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was one of the highs in this too, is just feeling a little bit more completeness. When I heard the Snyder Cut was talking about, oh, hey, there's a lot more Cyborg in it, and just how different it was nice to see that. Absolutely. Yeah. It was nice to see more Cyborg. It was nice to see more Flash. And I think if we would have got this originally, a lot more people would be confident in a single movie of those, a solo movie with each one of those characters. But, the 2017 version, when you see that, it made sense why everyone's like, I don't care about that. I don't want to see a solo film with these guys. Sorry.
Especially Cyborg. Like, that was...
they did him dirty, man.
They did him so dirty. I actually liked the fact that this cut was like almost... It felt to me more centralized around Victor and Victor / Cyborg. For people that don't know, that it almost showed confidence that whoever is to give the pardon here, Zack Snyder actually had confidence in a character other than Batman and Superman.
Yes, yeah,
and
right.
I was like, thank you.
And
Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman came out too before this. And I was like, thank you. Like, because these characters are good characters in their own rights. Mm-hmm. You don't just have to lean on the shoulders of your two heavy hitters for the past 40 years.
Well, yeah, because, if I'm a studio and I want to make money and I don't know much, I'm going to be like, you need to put Batman, you need to put in Superman, Wonder Woman's good. We need to ride hard on those three characters. And I think for them fleshing out Cyborg so much more, and even, like I said, Flash, who I'm not the biggest fan of Ezra Miller as Flash, but I found him to be a bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree.
Once again, I understand the slow-mo, but they once again went with the slow-mo depressing song where he's saving Iris from the car accident, and it's...
Oh, yeah. Puts the hot dog in his pocket.
Yeah, it's just I was like, what is going on? More slow-mo and music.
Think you really like that Quicksilver slow-mo with the Jim Croce time in a bottle. definitely had those vibes to it. Like that's every time I saw like one of those slow-mo scenes, that's exactly what my mind went to.
I was shocked to see that like the plan for them to bring Superman back to life. It's weird. Because I watched this and then I watched the regular cut, and so I'm watching the Zack Snyder one, and I'm like, because they explain it better why they're doing what they're doing. And then in the Joss Whedon cut, I remember I'm like, wait, what the fuck's going on? And then when I went back and watched it, I was like, oh no, they do kind of explain it. It's like the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, it's like grazed over.
But they kind of explain it. But I like you get more sense of why, like same thing with, like I said with Steppenwolf, you get more sense of why they're doing what they're doing, what their motivations are. Mm-hmm. It's more fleshed out. It feels more full. I did like too that we didn't cut from like, a something Snyder shot to something Whedon shot where suddenly like Ben Affleck's face gets really poofy.
Yeah.
I have to admit too, I really like that Lord of the Rings aspect of it when they were originally talking about the history. And I know like this film might have just borrowed from everything, but
yeah,
I did enjoy the fact of, hey, everyone got together and because of humanity, we beat Darkseid. Yeah. But in the same vein too, it was really cool to me to see all of these characters within just the DC universe kind of come together. Yeah. One thing, my Marvel history is way better than my DC history. I've just read a lot more Marvel staples than I have DC. So that was one thing I was thinking when I was watching this as well was, okay, as a, I consider myself a DC fan, but, not a hardcore fan. And so I thought, okay, this is what a lot of people must feel like when they watch superhero movies. They don't know really a lot of the backstory of these characters. They just know what they're seeing on screen. And I felt the same way. And I was like, okay, at least I felt a little bit more complete with the Snyder cut, and that these characters got more of a backstory to it. There was a lot more of story, which I did seem to like. Now, compare that to the comic books. I'm almost positive that things are absolutely different with some of these, with Apocalypse and Darkseid and all that. But I'm not too worried so much about that. I've learned to just, these are one shots and take it for what they are, and don't go kicking, crying, and screaming when your character's portrayed differently than what he is in the comics or she. So,
amen, brother.
Said Darkseid went down like a bitch in that flashback.
I hate it.
I was gonna wait till John got done, but I personally, that flashback and how it all played out, I was like, that is a terrible move to show your biggest bad get taken down like that. Like, why should superhumans be afraid of this guy if some medieval dwarfs and stuff like knocked him out of the park? Like, what is there to be afraid of?
Did Hercules do a Kamehameha? I can't remember.
I figured that was Zeus.
Do a Kamehameha? Zeus. Yeah, that one. I was just like, what? What's going on here? Like some of it, I was just cracking up. I don't know. I think it was a little kid in me, like because I like Greek mythology and whatnot too. So I was like, what the hell's going on here?
Here's what's supposed to be your big baddie, and like, granted, before anybody starts typing away, I know it's supposed to be a younger version of Darkseid, but he gets taken out, and not only does he get an accident, he's just gushing like
pouring out blood,
liters of blood, just pouring, and he gets pulled away by two parademons, and then passes out on the ship like a bitch, just like ooh.
Yeah.
If I'm a your general audience, like your average person who doesn't know really, I'm gonna be like, well, why should they be afraid of this guy? Like,
yeah.
He got taken out like so easy by like an axe. You mean to tell me Superman isn't going to be able to just like show up and be like,
yeah, right. That is one of the weird things with seeing this, and especially I was thinking back to his fight with Zod, and I was like, man, Superman was getting his ass kicked by Zod, and in this, he's just like, he's God tier. He's just easily, you know, it was smart to not have him go up to with Steppenwolf like right away, because I mean, he just killed him with ease. And I'm like, yeah.
I was definitely shocked to see one of the biggest changes in this movie from the original to this cut is the final battle. The final battle is almost entirely different.
Yeah.
Than what we got in the original cut. Like it feels very different. Like in the original cut, Superman pretty much shows up and he's just like, "Bye, Steppenwolf." And this one, it felt like it was more of a team effort with him, Aquaman, Wonder Woman. Like you get to see them kind of team up and do those like cool kind of little moments. And not to mention, I think it's kind of funny. Spoilers, I guess. But when Wonder Woman does her little like flip thing and like cuts off Steppenwolf's head in the original cut, I'm pretty sure it's the same scene. It's the same scene. Instead, she does the flip and she cuts and breaks Steppenwolf's axe. Yeah. After Superman freezes it.
Yeah.
I think, or something like that. And I'm like, was that? The bad thing about watching them back to back is stuff is kind of running together in my brain.
Yeah, right. No, that definitely. I remember when I was watching this one, I was like, "All right, I know that didn't happen. I know that didn't happen in the 2017 version."
Yeah, you're like, I know there was no decapitation, or the scene when Steppenwolf is getting the first mother box, and he cuts like that Amazon in half.
Yeah,
you just see like a pool of blood just go.
Oh man, also, one of the Aquaman's guys underneath the water, he's just like, whoo, right against the rock, and blood's just all on it. I'm going, oh man.
There's also
they really went out.
What was it, museum or bank robbery scene with Wonder Woman, and she kicks a guy into a wall, and there's just like he's laying in a pile of blood or a pool of blood. And I'm just like, oh, okay. It's like, yeah. I like when he hits the wall, I'm like, oh, that guy's definitely dead. Yeah. And then you see him later, and he's in the pool of blood, and you're like, oh, he is dead. Oh, you're gonna cement that? Okay, all right.
Oh man, yeah.
That's fine with me.
Oh yeah,
it's your movie.
Yeah, and they dropped the F-bomb in that scene.
They did.
Yeah. Wasn't there a couple F-bombs?
There's two F-bombs.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of funny because the one Batman drops. I've seen people. This may be a shock. I'm in a lot of Batman fan groups on Facebook, which is some of the most insufferable people that you could ever find. But there's so many people like, oh my god, my absolute favorite line is Batman when he's like, I will fucking kill you. How badass? I'm like, he said. People are like so happy that Batman said the F word. I'm like, what are you, 13 years old? Like. That's all it takes for you to enjoy a movie is Batman has to say fuck?
Yeah. Like, got to get that Frank Miller Batman, you know?
I personally kind of cringed.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike, I was kind of in the same boat. It was really weird to hear swear words in DC films. I don't know what it is. I just kind of expect differently.
It screams desperation of wanting to be different.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Deadpool did it, so we should do it too. Yeah. And
it screams, look at us. Look at how cool we are. We're not Marvel.
Yeah.
We're edgy and dark.
I'm just seeing
well, that's kind of what I admired about him is that... Oh, go ahead, Tony.
I was just going to say, I see both of you sitting in your living rooms just going, language.
Language. Yeah, exactly. Like Cap. I was, I don't know. I think you can get away with being dark and violent even without having to throw in forced swear words. Like sometimes it can work, but other times I don't know why it surprised me with this. I don't know why it shouldn't have, but it did. But I always go harken back to like, all right, well, DC was kind of seen as the goody two shoes between the two of them, and besides Captain America. You know, kind of weird to hear Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman say something like that. It's a little out of context to me. But then again, there was All-Star Batman, and we all know about that, and Frank Miller, and that was the one of the many times that they decided to go dark in DC. So I mean on that side of things, I guess that's just my stereotype, I guess, as a fan, my own believings in what the DC universe is. Because it really wasn't until New 52 started that I started to get more and more into DC books compared to even in the 90s. I mean, like every kid, I had Superman's death, but outside of Superman and Batman, I didn't have too many books from DC. But yeah, storylines and swear words. So
storylines, swear words. Hey! As I was watching this, I kept asking myself, because I kept, I heard for like a couple months now, oh, the nightmare scene, there's going to be a new nightmare scene. And the entire time I'm watching, I'm like, where the fuck is this nightmare scene fitting in?
Yeah, right.
Like, how does it fit into this movie? And then it turns out it doesn't fit in the movie. They just put it at the fucking end.
Yeah,
nope.
Man. Yeah.
It was all a dream.
That was a little weird. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, okay, so you had the scene that we saw in the original. I do remember that, right? The Lex Luthor on the boat.
Yeah. Except that in this one, in the original, he said something like, why can't we form a league of our own or something like that?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, yeah. And then you had the nightmare scene and the characters right there, like Deathstroke's right there.
Yeah.
Or is it Deadshot? I always get those.
Deathstroke, yeah.
Okay. So does Batman know Deathstroke? Besides, like, the whole, with that going on, it was like insinuated that Batman's the one that took Deathstroke's eye.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hope.
And
then
all of a sudden he's in his nightmare. So, yeah, I don't know about that. That was a little weird for me. Seeing that scene, and then all of a sudden Batman's like, oh, hey, I'm teamed up with this guy. And, just
no context.
Yep. The scene before he was talking about wanting to kill me. So,
if you just gave me the nightmare scene, I'd be like, that's pretty cool, because I'm a big fan of Injustice. So like an evil Superman, like I'm all about that. Like that's when I get interested in Superman, is when he finally snaps and he's not the Boy Scout anymore. And he's like, I am a god. You will bow to me. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like that. You are a god.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that was cool. I could have done without the Lex Luthor scene right before it. Tony, I agree with you. If that was just kind of the end, I think I would have liked that a lot more. Just seeing that and trying to make sense of it was just kind of crazy. Yeah, no, but I mean,
the transition was terrible. Like it was, it was just kind of like, where are we at now? Okay.
I think it would have done better if they just put it like in the credits, like either like in the middle or at the end. But they're probably like, this is streaming. What's the point? Let's just put it at the, do whatever.
Yeah, definitely. It did feel like a mid-credits scene.
And another thing is, I had people, they were so excited, and people were really like ready to see what this version of Jared Leto's Joker would be like.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of interested, even though he kind of looked like the Nun, but I saw him and I was like, and then he started talking. I'm like, it's the same fucking thing. He's doing that weird laugh and talking about reach arounds. And I'm like,
yeah.
And I legit saw somebody, they were like, and this is my favorite thing, is just seeing everyone's reaction. I legit saw somebody, they were like, up until this, there had never been a perfect Joker on screen. This was it. This was your ideal perfect Joker.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, that just goes to show, right? Everyone has their idea of Joker, and if anything, that confirms to me DC's own feelings of the origins of Joker and whatnot. Just like, whatever. There's 18 million of them. They're all different Jokers. It's all Joker.
I think we have some people that are like you said, Tony, earlier about you watch something and because you're so hyped for it, you tell yourself like it was good. I liked it. I think there is definitely a lot of that going on with this. I have seen people really trying to oversell it to the point of absurdity of saying this is a masterpiece.
No.
It is a masterpiece. This is I've already started to see the hashtag restore the Snyderverse.
Yeah, I've seen it too.
It's already starting to fall out there. And I knew it. And that's the thing. I knew once these fucking people got what they wanted and they got their Zack Snyder cut, it wasn't going to be the end of it.
Right.
And now they're going to be all talking about bring back the Snyderverse. And once again, it's the same people that were complaining about taking him off of the DCEU after Batman v Superman came out. But I had mentioned earlier how the movie felt the same but different. And after watching the original cut, it's because it is the same but different.
Yeah.
99% of the story elements, the main plot points, are still there.
Mm-hmm.
The main action sequences are still there. It's just everything's explained more, some points almost to nauseam, and there's more slow-mo. And, you know, whatever. And I just... I don't think my life would be any different had I not seen this or this not been released. I think everything would still be fine.
I mean, yeah. It's a movie, so it shouldn't have that much of a grasp hold on your life. That
not to some people.
I know. Trust me, I've run into both sides of the coin. Like the people that like just utterly despise what Zack Snyder has done, and then the people that like are just like praising him like he's like the third coming of Jesus. And it's just like these two extremes are just, they're not good for anybody. Both sides are very unhealthy.
It's weird.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because like Mike, I told you about this. Like I tried to have a civil discussion and, you know, bring my point of view into it, and I just got like bashed down. Like, no, it's because you like dark, gritty movies that, you know, womanize women and blah blah this and that. I'm like, no, I'm just saying that in comparison to storytelling, like B was better than A because it flushed out all these other characters, which was what I was looking for in the original cut. Like, give me some context to these goddamn characters. Like, that's all I wanted. I wanted people to know who Cyborg was. I wanted people to know who the Flash was. Like, you can't just team up and expect people to give a shit because you want your bottom line to increase. Yeah. That was my biggest beef of the whole movie. And the Snyder Cut gave me what I wanted. And it was, God damn it, like I am upset with the theatrical cut and what they did to Cyborg. Like that was a super shitty move, and I just don't get who was calling the shots and doing that. Like, you could have kept all that stuff in. It probably would have made the movie better.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I am in the same token as what Mike said earlier, like the Goldilocks theory here. While I think it's great that the Snyder Cut got released to please people, and it is one of those things too. I think it's a nice gift in a sense with COVID, with everything going on with it.
Yeah.
But then again, if you needed a 4-hour movie to explain everything here, then you're not doing your job. Like, I'm sorry.
Yep.
That's very few and far between are there 4-hour successful movies. And I think that just is kind of sad in that sense. Yeah. Because this could have been done in about 2.5 hours, and I think I'd still be saying, you know what, I like this version better than the previous version. And that's not just because, you know, of everything that's going on, but, you know, comparing the two.
Right.
Like I said, obviously the first one, the 2017 version, didn't leave a lasting impression on me. It was just one of those, okay, cool, I saw it, back of my mind. Yep. Can't remember anything about it. This I'm actually going to remember stuff about. You know, who knows how much, but I am going to remember besides the fact that it was a 4-hour movie.
Right.
But yeah, I would like to have seen something, you know, 2.5 hours I think would have been fine. I'm sure that they could have made some of those cuts. I'm glad that he got to revisit it, and that all in all, this is great. Sometimes listening to the fans is good, like the Sonic issue.
Yeah.
But then there's a majority of the time, I hate to say it, but a majority of the time, it's terrible to listen to the fans. The fans don't even know what they want.
Exactly.
You know?
The fans have
You
no
get-
idea what they want. Because if you ask any fan, they're going to give you like this like Russian roulette of like things they would like elements they would want in a superhero movie, and you go that none of that's even remotely possible to tie into a story. But I want it.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Well,
want
it's the
Kilowog to
Jokers,
show up
right?
during the
It's-
last battle of Justice League. Why? Because I want Green Lantern in there.
Because
But
but
why?
Hey,
Like
speaking
Kilowog,
of,
he's my favorite. What's up?
so what did you guys think of the added inclusion of Martian Manhunter?
I mean, I liked it. I didn't with the first little cameo with him in there. I did not catch who it was. I was like, who the hell was that supposed to be?
Super out of place.
Yeah, it was so random. Yeah. Oh, he just randomly is going to be standing right there. Okay, but I thought it was cool. I liked the little cameo at the end too of him just finding Bruce Wayne and was just like, "Hey, this is who I am," because I apparently needed that because it wasn't until the end when I realized like, oh, and then he said his name and then I was like, okay, I don't feel like a total idiot. So at least that confirms who I thought it was.
I have to rewind real quick. You said there was a scene where he was just standing there. Are you talking about the scene where he was in disguise talking to Lois and then he came out and transformed?
Did he talk to? I thought he was walking by and like Lois or Clark's mom like came out and
I
don't even remember.
Okay, so I must have been like half paying attention because I thought Clark's mom came out and transformed into the Martian Manhunter, and I was like, that makes complete sense. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, she did.
Wait, she did.
She did.
Okay, so
Because her eyes were
okay.
red. Yeah.
All right,
So
thank
wait.
God. I was like, wait a minute. Like, am I
hold
remembering
on.
something different? So
she goes in and talks to Lois,
right.
and then she leaves.
Yeah.
And then, like, she starts walking and her eyes glow red. And then she transforms into Martian Manhunter. And then he says, "The world needs you too, Lois Lane." And I'm kind of like, well, that's really fucking weird.
Oh, wow. My brain played something totally different. I thought he was just like randomly there. Just like I thought he was eavesdropping. And so like he knew something I didn't. Yeah, exactly. The Bruce. So yeah. Oh, well, I mean, there you go. That's a 4-hour movie, man. You can tell I was paying attention.
Half the movie's just black screen and then just random tidbits. That's the Brewski cut.
And
that's exactly.
Oh, then he shows up at the end too.
Yeah. That's that. Yeah. No. Oh, that's funny. I did not know. Gosh.
Well, if I was Bruce Wayne, I'd been like, "Hey, we could have really fucking used your help back there, man." Like,
yeah,
what are
right.
you doing?
Yeah.
Where were you on my list to recruit?
What I was wondering is, so Clark goes back to the farm, and him and Lois are there. Then Ma Kent comes up, and they're both hugging. And then wouldn't there be like some weird like interaction between Lois and Ma Kent where she's like, I really thought about what you said to me back there, and she's gonna go, "What are you talking about? That wasn't. I didn't say that. I haven't seen you." She's like, "Yeah, you did. You saw me way back." No. Oh.
Okay. All right. Hold on. So I'm gonna throw some real life in here for you, because I know that we've all probably been in this situation where like you have this super awkward talk with somebody, but then you see them the next day, and neither one of you say anything about that super awkward talk, and it never gets voiced again.
Maybe. I don't know. I thought it was really weird. Like
that's kind of what I chalked it up to. I was like, I don't know if I would ever bring it up again. Like it was kind of a weird situation being in there.
I'm just sitting here laughing at myself that my brain turned it into whatever, like Martian Manhunter's just eavesdropping outside and he's not Ma Kent.
I thought he was the pizza delivery boy.
I thought that was I thought it was a really weird, and I mean, you're kind of right to because both scenarios, if you explain them to somebody, sound completely preposterous.
Right. I personally only think that Martian Manhunter made his appearances in attempts to basically set up something else after Justice League.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the only reason he came in, was to just have that kind of like new element to move forward with.
Yeah,
but I liked it. Like I've actually got excited for what could have been. I don't know. I mean, what could be.
Yeah, I don't know where
it really like, okay, if we would have got this in 2017, who knows what movie we'd be reviewing now, but that's a
good question. Like, if this movie had come out in 2017, would it have been a bigger success, the same, less? Like, I don't know, because majority of positive things I've seen people saying from people, they're all comic book fans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would love to know. I would love for your average person to sit down and watch this and say what they think about it. People that might not have knowledge of all the characters, because whether you like it or not, that's where Marvel has been successful, is they've been able to attract the comic book fans and your casual movie-going fans into this giant supernova of craziness. And I don't know if this movie would have the ability to still capture that general audience, because there is a lot of things that is wink nudges towards like just specific DC fans and like the stuff with Darkseid and all this other stuff. Like, and I don't know if the general tone is what your average moviegoer would want. I don't know.
I can maybe give you a little smidgen here. When I was watching the final 2 hours, Janelle had just come home from wherever she was at, and she was like, "Oh, you're watching Justice League?" And I was like, "Yeah, the Snyder Cut." And she says, "Okay." So she's sitting there and she's started to watch the final 2 hours, and she goes, "This seems really drawn out, and I'm super bored by this." And I was like, "Yeah, I can see why you would be." I go, "But me personally, like, I'm glad that what's happening is happening right now." And she goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna go in my room. Bye." So I would say maybe
Steph has no interest in watching it. Like,
no, I mean, I don't blame anybody for not having interest in a 4-hour movie that is a second cut of something already released. It's strictly for fandom. That's it.
It is.
Like, it's not for mass consumption.
I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think it maybe would have been a bigger success than the original, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it would still have been a hit. Because once again, you said you have that 4-hour cut, and, you know, not only does that also mean less showtimes because of it, if it was that long.
I mean, do you think that the studio do you think the studio would allow a 4-hour cut? Like, I don't think they would allow 4 hours.
Not. They probably would have had him cut it down to like 3 or something, maybe. But I don't know if it would have had that mass appeal to still give it that Marvel success. I hate to say that, but you know.
Yeah, no, I think we agree with
I'm not saying it should be. I'm not saying it should be a Marvel movie. You know, Marvel does their thing. Like, I would love, you know, to be able to choose a Pepsi from my Coke and have the option of one or the other, or be able to enjoy both. It's just a realistic way of thinking of it. I am 100% convinced that because of the Snyder bot fans are so, like I said, ravenous and just such rose-tinted glasses with this, I genuinely think that they could have released this and it could have had an extra 2 hours of Batman taking a shit, and they would have been like, "It's the greatest thing ever! My God, it's so good!" Like, that's the perception that I've gotten from a lot of these people.
I would hope not.
Yeah.
I would pray to God that no person would be that almost dumbfounded to follow a single individual of that nature.
I'm exaggerating a little bit. But
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
My statement still stands. Like they're crazy. Yeah, like Snyder fans are like absurdly crazy. Like I don't think the guy is like a gift to cinema at all. Like I think that he has a very particular signature way of doing things, which comes from his like elongated past of like directing music videos. So like you see all that in his cinema work, and it has flair at moments, but I feel like now
he's really good at painting a picture.
Yeah, I feel like now, like especially with his slow motion and stuff like that, I feel like he's almost like pushing the envelope. Like, how much can I do before people go, okay, that's enough?
Yeah,
because
right.
like there was some slow mo in this, and I love slow mo. I love slow mo all the hell, and there was slow mo in this. I was just like, okay, this sequence is far too long. Like you could have cut this like by at least 2-3 minutes and been perfectly fine. Like the flash sequence where he's saving Iris, which I don't even know if they ever even introduced her as Iris or not, but like I'm assuming
no, they never once said her name.
Okay, I didn't think
like,
so.
Oh, this is yeah.
But that sequence for me was like far too long. Like, did we have to show his shoes exploding off of his feet? Like, was that needed? Was the hot dog thing, other than setting up what happened after that, needed? Nah. The amount of time it took to reposition her, was that fully needed? No, you could have done that whole slow-mo sequence and been like 2 minutes. Instead, it was like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know how long it was.
I didn't
it was
time
too
it.
long.
Whatever it was too long, and you could have condensed it, which is basically that's the movie.
Yeah.
It's too long, and you could have condensed it.
Yeah.
Somewhere there is a happy medium between the Joss Whedon version and this version. What that is, I don't know. I'm not a filmmaker. I can't talk like I know what I'm talking about. I can't talk like I know anything. But in my opinion, there's somewhere is a perfect cut somewhere in this mess of things.
See, that's where you're wrong. The perfect cut doesn't exist because they didn't set up their characters before the team up movie.
That's true.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
That's true.
That's what I want to know is what Justice League would have been if they set the characters up before it.
Aside from him getting taken down like a bitch, what did you final thoughts on like Darkseid? Like his brief showing up. I thought it was really funny. They show up in the boom tube at the end and they're just staring. And I'm like, fucking do something.
Dude, I got really excited when Granny
like,
Goodness was right there. When Granny Goodness popped up, I was like, oh my God, it's Granny Goodness. And then I was like, I wonder if Jeff is watching this and what his reaction to Granny Goodness on the silver screen would be.
Oh, I really liked it. I forgot I'm supposed to be playing the role of Jeff.
Oh. Come on, talking head Jeff. I mean, I don't know. Like it was Darkseid. He looked cool. What else can I say?
He looked cool.
He skipped leg day.
I didn't notice. I was so focused on the way his face looked. I was like, that actually looks pretty good. I liked what they did there.
I was really happy with how his face looked, but like the proportions of his body, and I know he's not real. He's supposed to be like an alien, but it looked very weird. He was very like big upper shoulders, and his legs looked really skinny, and like I don't know. And he didn't. Correct me if I'm wrong. He didn't stand like with his arms behind his back at all, did he? I didn't see that.
I don't think so.
I don't recall that stoic pose.
I feel like I would remember that if it happened, but you know, it is what it is. I'm glad, you know, if anything, I'm glad that Zack Snyder got to see his vision through, especially the tragedy and everything surrounding it. I'm glad that we got to see more of Ray Fisher's performance and that he can kind of be vindicated in that sense. Because I don't think anything is coming from his allegations, because it's just this weird back and forth. Yeah. And I don't think Warner Brothers or anybody's going to own up to what happened. But if I could say one thing after all of this to the Snyder fans, the DC fans, everybody, Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's, Zack Snyder has kind of said, like, if you would have asked him if him directing a sequel to Justice League or this getting released was more of a possibility, he would have said him directing a Justice League sequel was more possible than this happening. And now this is happening, and people are already saying, like, Warner Brothers considering Justice League sequel, but it's like a "we got this covered" link, so who knows at that point. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm kind of like, if just go out on your high note, just like put it to bed, let's all move on. No more hashtags.
Yeah, right. I agree. It's done. It's over. Everyone can be happy about it. I hope it was a success for HBO Max's and DC's Sense and Warner Brothers. I hope for them it was. It sounds like it was. I don't know, but like that's the weird thing when it comes to streaming services now. To me, it's all just a bunch of BS statistics that, like, all right, well, if you don't have a third party doing these stats, I don't know if these are true or not, but like, they sounded like they were happy about it. I know some of the tweets, like, people were talking about it and they're like, well, if you just go based off of the stats of the internet talk alone, it's a success.
That's so weird.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen mixed reactions on it. I haven't heard anyone completely call it dog shit. But, like in the same vein, though, too, I have heard people say, yeah, it was slow. Like, and these weren't like comic book fans. These were just casual fans, I guess.
Right.
And that was one of the first reviews that I heard. I try not to read reviews or anything like that, but there was a tweet and I saw, and it was basically like, yeah, it's kind of slow paced, just a heads up. And so it really sounded like either people were meh about it or they're like, I wouldn't watch it again. But then more and more of these reviews were coming out and people seem like it's just amazing. And that it was like, oh, hey, blows out anything that Marvel's done. And I'm like, really? Like, I mean, to each their own, but I don't know. I was happy that I got to see it. I think especially with Marvel becoming the powerhouse that it is, it's nice to get some DC stuff out there.
Yeah.
I felt really bad because I really wanted to like Wonder Woman 1984, and it doesn't take much to please me, but like, that one for me
was rough.
It was rough. Yeah.
I forgot I was going to read this because I saw it early this morning, and I thought it was hilarious, and I wanted to share this with you guys. They put Justice League Snyder Cut fans celebrating their non-rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes like the kids at East Side High passing their minimum basic skills test in Lean On Me.
Oh, man.
And like I said, that's just, you gotta laugh at yourself, and that was so funny. I apologize.
Who wrote that? Hold on, who wrote that? Because that reference deserves a round of fucking applause. Like, that's a really awesome reference.
I really don't know who it was. It was somebody in a random group that had posted a screen cap of it. So it says, I don't know, JL something.
It was so good. So good. So out of left field. It was beautiful.
It was. It really was. But yeah, so Justice League Snyder Cut, what would you guys rate it out of 10?
John, you go first. I have to figure out a clever thing to say.
Yeah, I would, if I rated it before the 2017 version, just put a +1 off of that rating. So whatever that rating was, just add a +1 to it, and that's this rating. I liked it. The length was a bit much, even for a dude that watches stuff at twice the speed. I would maybe I'll give it another watch with my kids. Maybe I wanted to watch it first because I saw the R rating on it. and I didn't want to, hey, let's do this family R-rated movie,
There are a couple F-bombs.
Yeah. I'm not so worried about that. The violence, obviously, but I would probably say 7 out of 10. I didn't know that Martian Manhunter was Ma Kent's. So
Ma Kent, Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
Ma Kent. There's some sort of way to
Martian Manhunter Kent.
Ma Kent Hunter. I don't know. Ooh, that sounds weird. Hunting Ma Kent.
All right, and welcome back today. It's Ma Kent Hunter. Oh, here we go.
There's definitely some things that were done better. Like there was a lot of more fleshing out of people that needed more fleshing out to have you care. Cyborg Flash, even the villain Steppenwolf, his motives, getting a peek into Apocalypse and Darkseid was kind of cool seeing on screen. Like especially like watching like Justice League the animated series and like always wondering like, man, what would Darkseid be like in film form? Mm-hmm. Granted, we will never get like that classic, beatdown, at least for now, or that classic fight between Superman and Darkseid. But, in a lot of ways, it still was the same movie. It was still, if it was released way back, I still would say it was too soon for it. They needed to do better. If they, like you said, Tony, building up the characters before this movie, I guess I would give it 6.5 or 7 slow-mos out of 10. Like,
yeah,
it wasn't the worst thing, but I think the runtime is really what hurts it the most in that slow hour and a half of pure setup. It's like 2 hours before Batman puts on the Batsuit.
You two together pretty much said every single aspect that I was gonna say. It though it gave me things that I wanted, it still, as a movie, came up short. Like, if you had to take, like you said, John, if you had to take 4 hours to tell your story, you're doing something wrong. Like, it should only take you hour and a half.
But it's an epic.
It's not an epic. It's a no. What is this, fucking
the
Beethoven?
Fucking Hobbits did it.
Oh, don't get me started on the Hobbits. Like, no, that's a whole nother episode. Yeah, it gave me more Cyborg. It gave me more Flash, a little bit more setup. Aquaman wasn't, some douchey surfboard riding fish guy. But I was still going to give it probably like a 6.5, 7 out of 10 non-fleshed out characters.
Non-fleshies. But that is our thoughts on Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Let us know what you think. Because I'm assuming this is going to be on Facebook and YouTube, so comment below. Pointing at...
Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you know next time one of our great videos comes out.
I couldn't said it better myself. And be sure to check out kapowcast.net, where we are currently in the midst of March Madness. We have some great prizes. Not Superman.
Get him away. You can't have my Soupies.
Go. We got some good prizes. We got Marvel Legends, Vintage Green Goblin. There's Freudian slip.
Look at that crossover.
Goblin. He's got some big eyes. He's been doing some bath salts.
My, what big eyes you have.
Those horrible yellow eyes. And then there's the Walmart exclusive Venomized cap, complete with Venomized shield. The package is a little messed up on the back, but
don't show him.
You're
going
to open it up and play with him in the bathtub anyways. And getting old. Hang on. Graphic novel of Batman: The Dark Knight Returns with the animated films attached to it.
And if you want to get on next year's March Madness, make sure to hurry up and go over to patreon.com/kapowcast and become one of our monthly Patreons for your chance to win the great prizes next year.
Well, thank you guys for sitting in, enjoying this. Thank you guys for thank you guys for watching the Snyder Cut and enduring the 4 hours, because it's tough to watch a 4 hour anything. Well, until next time, I am Mike.
I'm Tony.
And I'm Jeff Jefferson.
We'll see you on the next Kapowcast.